Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or struggled to recall a name you've known for years? If so, you're not alone. Many of us chalk it up to just getting older, but what if I told you some of the medications you're taking could be secretly stealing your memory? That's right, certain prescriptions, even ones your doctor may have recommended, could be clouding your mind without you even realizing it. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I do want to empower you. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. So today, we're going to talk about 5 common medications that have been linked to memory loss. Medications you or someone you love might be taking right now. The good news: once you're aware, you can take action. You can talk to your doctor, explore alternatives, and protect your precious memories. Let's start with the first medication on our list: benzodiazepines. You might know them by names like Valium, Xanax, or Ativan. These drugs are often prescribed for anxiety, insomnia, or even muscle spasms. They work by calming the brain, which can be helpful in the short term. But here's the problem. Research shows that long-term use of benzodiazepines can interfere with memory formation. Think of your brain like a filing cabinet. Benzodiazepines make it harder for new files to get stored properly. Over time, that can lead to gaps in your memory. Now, if you're taking one of these medications, don't panic. This doesn't mean you have to stop cold turkey. That could be dangerous. But it does mean you should have a conversation with your doctor. Ask if there are safer alternatives or if you can gradually reduce your dose under medical supervision. Many people find relief through relaxation techniques, therapy, or even gentle exercise. The key is to explore your options. Next up, we have anticholinergic drugs. That's a mouthful, isn't it? These medications are often used to treat conditions like allergies, overactive bladder, or even Parkinson's disease. Common examples include Benadryl, ditropan, and some antidepressants like Paxil. Anticholinergics block a chemical in your brain called acetylcholine, which is crucial for learning and memory. When that chemical is suppressed, your brain's ability to retain information can take a hit. You might be thinking, but I've taken Benadryl for years. And that's exactly why this is so important to talk about. These effects can creep up slowly, making it easy to blame age rather than the medication. If you're on an anticholinergic drug, ask your doctor if there's a different treatment option. Sometimes, a simple switch can make a world of difference. Now, before we move on to the next medication, I want to pause for a moment. If any of this sounds familiar, or if you're realizing that you or a loved one might be affected, take a deep breath. You're already ahead of the game just by being here and learning about this. The next step is to have that conversation with your doctor, armed with the right questions. Speaking of questions, let's talk about proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. These are medications like Nexium or Prilosec, often used for acid reflux or heartburn. Now, stomach relief is important, but studies suggest that long-term use of PPIs may be linked to a higher risk of memory issues. The theory is that these drugs might reduce the absorption of vitamin B12, which is essential for brain health. If you've been on a PPI for a while, it might be worth asking your doctor if you still need it. Sometimes, lifestyle changes like eating smaller meals or avoiding trigger foods can reduce heartburn naturally. Other times, there may be safer medications available. The goal isn't to fear your prescriptions, but to use them wisely. We've covered 3 medications so far, and I hope you're finding this helpful. But we're not done yet. There are 2 more important ones to discuss, including one that might surprise you. So, let's keep going, because when it comes to your memory, every piece of information matters. Now that we've talked about benzodiazepines, anticholinergics, and proton pump inhibitors, let's move on to a medication that many people take every single day: statins. You've probably heard of Lipitor, Crestor, or Zocor. These drugs are commonly prescribed to lower cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease, which is incredibly important. But here's something you may not know. Some studies suggest that statins could have an impact on memory and cognitive function in certain individuals. How does this happen? Well, cholesterol isn't just about your heart, it's also vital for your brain. Your brain actually contains a lot of cholesterol, and it plays a key role in forming connections between nerve cells. When statins lower cholesterol too much, it might interfere with those brain processes. Some people report brain fog or forgetfulness after starting statins. Now, I want to be very clear. This doesn't mean you should stop taking your statins without talking to your doctor. Heart health is critical, especially as we age. But if you've noticed changes in your memory since starting a statin, bring it up at your next appointment. There may be different types of statins or alternative approaches, like dietary changes or other medications, that can protect both your heart and your mind. The fifth medication on our list is one that might surprise you: sleep aids, particularly over-the-counter options like diphenhydramine, found in products like Tylenol PM or Unisom. Many of us reach for these when we're struggling with a restless night, but here's the catch. Diphenhydramine is actually an anticholinergic drug, just like the ones we discussed earlier. That means it can have the same memory-dampening effects, especially with regular use. Think about it. If you're taking a sleep aid frequently, you might be trading short-term rest for long-term brain health. And poor sleep itself can contribute to memory problems, so it becomes a tricky cycle. Instead of relying on these medications, consider natural sleep remedies first. A warm cup of chamomile tea, a calming bedtime routine, or even adjusting your bedroom environment can make a big difference. If you still need help, talk to your doctor about sleep aids that are less likely to affect your memory. Now, before we go any further, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something. If you're hearing about these medications and realizing you're taking one, or even several of them, it's completely normal to feel a little overwhelmed. But remember, this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. You're taking control of your health by learning and asking questions, and that's something to be proud of. And speaking of questions, let's talk about what you can do with this information. Because knowing is one thing, but taking action is where the real power lies. First, if you're on any of these medications, don't stop them abruptly. Sudden changes can be harmful. Instead, make a list of your concerns and schedule a conversation with your doctor. You might say something like, "I've heard this medication could affect memory. Is there another option we could explore?" A good doctor will listen and work with you to find the best solution for your unique needs. Second, keep a journal if you've noticed changes in your memory or thinking. Write down when you started a medication, any symptoms you've experienced, and how they've changed over time. This can help you and your doctor spot patterns and make more informed decisions. Finally, remember that medications are just one piece of the puzzle. Things like staying socially active, eating a brain-healthy diet, think leafy greens, berries, and omega-3s, and keeping your mind sharp with puzzles or reading can all support your memory as you age. We've covered a lot so far: 5 medications that could be affecting your memory, and what to do about them. But before we wrap up, there's one more important thing we need to discuss: how to have that conversation with your doctor in a way that gets results. Because let's face it, sometimes it's hard to speak up, especially when you're talking to a medical professional. But your health is worth it. So, let's make sure you walk into that appointment feeling confident and prepared. You know, one of the most powerful tools we have as we get older isn't a medication or a supplement. It's our voice. The ability to speak up, ask questions, and advocate for ourselves at the doctor's office. So let's talk about how to have that conversation effectively, because I know for some of you, walking into that appointment might feel a little intimidating. But here's the truth: your doctor works for you. And a good doctor will appreciate a patient who's informed and engaged in their own care. When you sit down with your physician, start by being specific. Instead of saying, "I think my medicine might be affecting my memory," try something like, "I've been taking medication name for length of time, and I've noticed I'm having more trouble remembering names and appointments lately. I read that this could be a side effect. What do you think?" This approach shows you've done your research without being confrontational, and it gives your doctor clear information to work with. Be prepared for them to ask you questions too. They might want to know how long you've noticed the memory issues, whether anything makes them better or worse, or if there are other symptoms you're experiencing. This is where that journal I mentioned earlier can be so helpful. Having notes about when you take your medications and any changes you've observed takes the guesswork out of the conversation. And here's something important to remember. If your doctor dismisses your concerns without explanation, or if you leave the appointment feeling unheard, it's okay to get a second opinion. Your health is too important to settle for anything less than a healthcare provider who takes your concerns seriously. Now, I want to take a moment to recap what we've covered because this is important information that could truly make a difference in your life. We talked about 5 types of medications that can secretly affect your memory: benzodiazepines, like Valium or Xanax, anticholinergics, including Benadryl and some antidepressants, proton pump inhibitors, such as Nexium, statins, like Lipitor, and certain sleep aids containing diphenhydramine. But more importantly, we've talked about what you can do about it. You're not powerless in this situation. You have the ability to start a conversation with your doctor, explore alternative treatments, monitor how you're feeling, make lifestyle changes that support brain health. And let me tell you something. I've seen so many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond make simple changes like these and feel like they've gotten a new lease on life. Maybe it's switching to a different medication, or perhaps it's combining medication with natural approaches. Sometimes, it's just the peace of mind that comes from understanding what's happening in your body. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you noticed any changes after starting a new medication? Have you had success with alternatives? Your experience could help someone else going through the same thing. That's the beautiful thing about this community. We can all learn from each other. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. It really does help others find this important information. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. We create content just like this to help you live your healthiest, happiest life after 60. Remember, aging doesn't have to mean accepting memory loss as inevitable. With the right knowledge and the courage to speak up, you can take control of your health and protect your precious memories. After all, those memories, of family, of adventures, of a life well lived, they're worth fighting for. Here's to your health, your clarity, and your continued joy in every chapter of life. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.